Hello, Thaddeus. Unlike the terrible idea that was candy corn Oreos, I have it on good authority that the Cadbury Scream Eggs are actually tasty. Now that National Anti-Bullying Awareness Month is almost over, I'd like to do a video where I complain about at least 3 things. 1. I hate the camera I'm using, and you should expect slightly shorter videos from here on out till I get a better one. 2. My complete disdain for Awareness Month. 3. Why I think the term bullying is a terrible, terrible thing. I don't think the first topic really needs much more explanation other than that this camera is bad and I want a better one. On the second one, why I hate Awareness Month, for a couple of reasons. The biggest one being that for the most part we're already aware of these topics. I mean, who hasn't heard of breast cancer in this day and age? Basically, we go an entire year and 1 month out of 12, everything suddenly turns pink and we pretend we gave the whole time about breast cancer. Much in the same way that you only hear about Black history during Black History Month because that's how we structure our history lessons these days. And while that's fine and dandy for something like, say, breast cancer because, well, people are donating money to cancer research and doing cancer research all the time, you might have noticed in October the couple of stories about teenagers who killed themselves over being bullied online and a couple of news articles about anti-bullying topics. But then November comes and we suddenly don't hear about it for another year. The problem with these is not that we have a Black History Month or an Anti-Bullying Awareness Month, but the fact that we don't go into a greater explanation of why we have to have these months. Why we need an Awareness Month. Sure, in Black History Month we talk about the achievements of blacks throughout our history, but what we don't talk about is how they've been systematically unincluded or diminished in our normative tellings of history throughout the rest of the year. We don't address the fact that the history of the United States is primarily told as the history of great white men. And that's really the gist of why I don't like Awareness Month, is they set apart a certain topic that we should be caring about all the time, that we should be discussing why we're not talking about it all the time, especially when it's something as broad and important to discuss as bullying. Which brings me to my last point of why I really hate the term bullying. It's just a euphemism. That bullying is somehow just a purview of the young, the teenagers, those in school, and that once they leave the institutions, they will suddenly become better human beings and life will go on. Because we call it bullying instead of what it really is, harassment, it allows us to pretend that it's not as big of a deal as it should be. It allows us to give terrible advice like ignore it, or a bully is really just somebody who's insecure. Neither of which actually stop bullying or make the situation any better. The reality of the situation is bullying doesn't stop. It just takes on a different name when you become an adult. It becomes harassment, because that's all bullying really is harassment at a young age. And while we take care of it as adults and see it as something even akin to a crime, as adults I think we're uniquely complicit with bullying. We don't really do anything about it. We've never really taken the steps to stop it. Every time we make some token gesture like telling them to ignore the bully or that the bully is insecure, we have officially accomplished nothing. We have let the bullying continue. Any person who's in a position of authority, who sees or knows of bullying happening and then doesn't do as much as bring down the fear of God upon people to stop it, has allowed it to continue. And while I do appreciate the It Gets Better campaign, because in reality, it does get better once you're away from these people and you get and move on with your life. And when you realize that, for the most part, people have better things to do with their lives than care about other people that they don't know, and judge them and make fun of them, and those sorts of things. Bullying is like murder. Even if people don't commit suicide because of it, it still damages their psyche. It diminishes their sense of self-worth. It can make them feel like a failure. It harms their ability to create social relationships that are meaningful and healthful to them. The idea that bullying is just something, a part of life, a part of childhood, is offensive and destructive. And any person who wants to treat bullying like that should be considered an accessory to the crime. And then you have the clowns over at the Liberty Council who are opposing things like Mix It Up Day, an attempt to thwart views of other kids as being the other, as not part of our group, as part of some other group that is different than us, on the grounds that it might lead to some kid being okay with gay people. Because viewing people as different has done wonders for our society as a whole. We've never had any sort of wars or anything over just minor group differences. There's never been a genocide attributed to something like that. And quite frankly, the pithy and pathetic coverage that bullying is given 1 month a year does nothing to solve the problem, because we don't feel like it is a problem. The reality of the situation is, for most of society, they feel like bullying isn't a problem, and we should stop calling it bullying and call it what it really is: criminal harassment. I will see you in the future.